Hey, what's up? Welcome back. My name is Chris Abbott, and in this video, we're going to be talking about what to say to first-time visitors at church. We're going to be giving you a few examples that we've learned at my church, things to kind of eliminate anxieties and kind of help people feel at ease. And we'll also share with you 5 things you say that might keep people away and make sure they never come back again coming up. Hey, what's up? Welcome back. My name is Chris Abbott, and if we're meeting for the first time, I have had the opportunity to work with thousands of churches over the last several years to be able to help them to attract thousands of new visitors. And we've identified that one of the most important things is figuring out what to say and what not to say to brand new church visitors. So in this video, we're going to break down some of the things we've learned and show you a couple of specific examples of what to say and a couple of specific examples of what not to say that might run off all of your visitors. So let's dive in. All right, so the goal is to eliminate anxiety, right? Whenever you have first-time visitors that are coming in for the first time, right, you want things to be laid back, you want them to go shields down, and you want to be able to encourage people, make them feel good about their experience, right? So here's the deal. People don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. So this is really important to focus on first impressions, right? Eye contact, smiling, fresh breath is a must. In fact, I would actually recommend having gum and breath mints at your volunteer check-in or someplace in your church where every single person who's greeting new people can have access to fresh breath. This is something that's easily overlooked, but it's really, really important. There's nothing worse than talking to someone who's got horrible breath, and you just might ensure that they never come back to church again. Okay, so let's get inside the mind of a visitor for a second, right? Think about somebody who's thinking about visiting your church yet, and they haven't even made a decision to come visit church. They're probably checking you out on social media, they're probably on your website, and they basically have 2 questions. Who's the pastor and who are the people? So you need to make sure to introduce them to your pastor first, right? So that they know exactly who they're going to meet and who they're going to listen to when they show up on Sunday. Then you need to have lots of pictures of smiling, happy people that go to your church. Okay, so once they've made the decision and they actually show up for the first time, right, now think about what it is, right? They know who the pastor is, they knew kind of, who the people are, but now they're showing up for church for the first time, right? So they're probably thinking, man, where do I park? What do I wear? Where do I check my kids in? Where are the bathrooms, right? Like, what if I walk in there and I don't know where to go, right? There's a lot of anxiety when you're visiting a church for the very first time. So keep that in mind as we kind of go through some of these things that you want to say. Okay, so I was actually consulting at a church in Michigan just a few weeks ago, and I had one of the best visitor experiences I've had in a really, really long time. So whenever I like to go into a new church, I like to just kind of walk around, check out what they're doing, check out some of the classrooms and some of the behind the scenes and walk around the lobby and look at some of the signage. And so there was a guy who walked up to me. Obviously, he knew that I was new, but he walked up and here's what he did. He didn't ask me if I was new. He didn't ask me what I was doing there. So instead, he just walked up to me and said, "Hey, what's up, man? My name's Gary. I don't think I've met you yet." Right? Perfect segue, great way to engage a new visitor, right? And so instead of coming up and asking me any questions, he just came up, he introduced himself, said, "Man, I don't think I've met you yet." Right? And I introduced myself. "Hey, what's up, man? I'm Chris. Great to meet you." And then he followed it up with, again, a phenomenal question, which is, "How long have you been going to the church?" Right? This is a great way to gauge whether or not people are new without asking if they're new, right? So he said, "How long have you been going to the church?" I said, "Man, actually, this is my first time." He said, "Oh, man, well, welcome. I'm so glad you came, right? How'd you hear about us? What brought you here?" It was the perfect introduction into a great conversation with a guy that obviously knew what he was doing. He was a great conversationalist, right? He'd been trained. The church knew what they were doing, and it was a very friendly, happy, laid-back conversation. That's exactly the type of interaction you want when people come into church for the very first time. Here are a few more conversation starters that can work really well. But before I get to that, I want to know, what are some great conversation starters that you've used at your church, or what are some really bad ones, right? Let me know in the comments. I want to see them. A couple of great conversation starters once you've introduced yourself to someone, right? "Hey, what kind of work do you do?" This is always a great way to just kind of engage people and get them talking about something that they might be passionate about. "What keeps you busy during the week?" Right? This is another one where people kind of get a chance to talk about the things that they might be passionate about. They may not love their job, but they might be able to talk to you about some of the hobbies they're into, like working out or playing video games. Another great one is, "How did you find our church?" This is going to give you a key insight into how people are actually finding out about you. But you can also find out, like, hey, were they invited by someone, right? Which if they were and you know that person's there, you say, "Oh, you know what, man, I saw John and Sally over here. Come on, let's go find them," right? Or it might be a good idea to know, man, is our social media working? Or, man, did people hit our website and they decided to come from that. So it's a great conversation starter, but it's also a great way to gauge where your visitors are coming from. Another great thing to do is immediately introduce them to one or two of your friends or some key staff and leaders, right? The great thing about this is literally you can shield them from the weird people and you can make sure that they meet plenty of really nice people, great people. So I do this at my church a lot. Whenever I'll meet someone new, I'll immediately go look for my brother-in-law who is the assistant pastor, or my sister-in-law who oversees the kids ministry, or some of my friends who are on the worship team, or some of the greeters, especially if it's someone who I know they might see on stage later in the service, right? Now they feel on the inside because they just met the worship leader, right? Or they just met the kids director. So this is a great way to just kind of make people feel like part of the family. Okay, a couple of other great conversation starters and great questions to ask are, do you have any questions about the church that I can answer? Do you know how to get to the church auditorium? Do you know anyone who attends the church? Can I help you with anything? Or maybe, hey man, you want to sit with me in service? All right, these are just a couple of examples of great conversation starters. Again, great ways to eliminate anxiety and lower the barrier of entry for new people once they come in. All right, so let's finish this up with a couple of things that you never want to say to new people because it's kind of awkward, it's a little bit confusing, and it might make sure that they run for the hills and never come back again. All right, number one, we alluded to this earlier, but are you new? You never want to ask someone if they're new. Makes people feel awkward and out of place, makes them feel like they stick out, right? So never ask someone if they're new, just introduce yourself. Number two, insider language. Now, this is a trap that's really easy to fall into. In fact, a church that I was just at recently let us know that they had a visitor who came up and asked what one of the names of the ministries were. They said, oh, well, that's the name of our women's ministry. And they said, why do you guys work so hard to make things so confusing? I tell you, that hit me like a ton of bricks because we've had the exact same thing happen at my church. So I'd encourage you to take a look at your signage and the way that you're communicating to your new guests, because if you're using insider language like, hey, check out Sparkle, our women's event, or hey, don't forget about Chaos. People don't know what Sparkle and Chaos are. Just say, hey, man, have you checked out our women's ministry? Hey, do you know anything about our youth ministry, right? This is no time to be clever. This is the time to be clear. So eliminate all insider language. And before I get to my last 3 points, if you want to laugh and you want to take a look at some of the mistakes that other churches have made, check out my video, Funny Mistakes in Church Bulletins. I promise it helps to laugh at other people sometimes. All right, number 3, sorry, it's not usually like this. Right? You never want to apologize for anything. All right. And I've visited a lot of churches and people do this all the time. Hey, sorry, it's not normally like this. We normally have more people, but it's raining outside. Or hey, sorry, it's not usually this messy, but we're renovating the kids area. Or, sorry, some of our lights are out. Nobody knows what it's supposed to look like or how many people you normally have or anything like that. Right? Instead, just play into it. Right? So like if you're renovating things, right, just say, oh man, check it out. Our kids ministry has been growing so much. We're actually renovating our kids area. We're super excited. It's going to be awesome when it's done. People aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity. Number 4, we have something for everyone. Here's the deal. If you try to reach everyone, then you actually reach no one, right? Everybody knows there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all anything, especially church. So don't say we have something for everything. Just highlight the things that you guys do really well. Maybe it's a motorcycle ministry, or maybe it's the playground in your kids ministry, or maybe you have free ice cream for kids every single week, or maybe you're really, really good at reaching millennials. Whatever it is, go all in on that thing, talk about those things, but don't ever say we have something for everyone. People know that it's not true. And finally, don't talk about you, talk about them, right? So you don't want to brag about the church or about yourself. People want to talk about themselves, right? Basically, what you want to do is you want to position them like Luke Skywalker. You want to make them feel like the hero of the story, right? And you and your church, you want to position yourselves like Yoda. You're just simply the guide. And what's funny is when you take an interest in people, they actually like you more. So this is a great way to connect with people. Don't talk about you, talk about them. All right, so now that you know what to say to new visitors, one of the things you might need help with is getting new visitors in the door. So if that's the case, head on over to churchgrowthagency.com. We've got a free training that can show you how to use social media and technology to attract new visitors on Sunday morning. We'll see you soon.